bracket matches that we played here were just having insufficient team fight. Newbee is a team that likes to fight all the time. They like to play together as 5, but when they have the weaker team fighting lineup, I feel like that becomes really difficult. But this game, they have absolutely spectacular team fight. I really like the way that their lineup works, and I feel like Planet Odd, their safe lane and just their team fight in general is pretty weak. They really lack a lot of front line.
Yeah, I mean, Newbee's got lockdown for days. If they can actually go and find their target and get one stun off, then they can just keep them locked down until Newbee are able to rotate in their damage dealers. So potentially a lot of blood falling off. And what are the tempos of these two teams looking like? Who wants to get online and mobile first?
I think it's interesting, but I think Planet Odd are actually the ones who need to try and strike first here. Start getting those Sunstrike kills rolling in for Wii, because as soon as the Newbee lineup hits like 10 minutes, like the panel was saying, that's where they can just really start 5-manning. They've got 3 really beefy cores that are going to be difficult to burst down at all stages of the game, and it's going to be insanely difficult to get to the supports in the backlines as a result. The Healing Ward's going to be down, the Underlord's going to be standing there, more than likely with a mech ready to go, so Planet Odd, I think, really have to get off to a good start. Otherwise, the Night Stalker's not going to do anything, the Crystal Maiden's not going to do anything, and the Invoker's not going to do anything either.
So deep smoke rotation here from Newbee. Looks like they just want to give some contest to the room, potentially trying to initiate onto Misery here. This Night Stalker could be the first blood. Puck is going to make his way in with the Illusory Orb, and now Kaka actually caught it on his own, though Mugi rotates forward, still holding on to the Blade Fury, so currently no blood shed. The runes are going to be a 3 for Newbee and only 1 going the way of Planet Odd, so slight gold advantage there as Newbee just start making those big rotations early. Yeah,
so nice read from Planet Odd, realizing that Newbee were likely to go for an aggressive tri-lane, but I feel like this is obvious just from the beginning of the draft. You pick Crystal Maiden and Night Stalker, you have 2 heroes that don't even want to spend time with your carry. The Crystal Maiden wants to go in jungle a little bit, and the Night Stalker wants to rotate around in the lane. So they pick the Clinks, who's a pretty good 1v1 hero, can kind of just do his own thing, and that frees up the supports a little bit more, because this is not a tri-lane versus tri-lane that they were going to win.
Oh, bottom is getting really heated. Moon getting very, very low, able to jump back with that Illusory Orb, but, I mean, this is going to be a bloody bot lane.
Yeah, this is going to be a decent amount of action. The only problem, I think, for Misery being down here is that I'm not sure how much kill potential there necessarily is for him in this lane, but the same can kind of be said for Newbee's other lanes. I guess with the Sunstrike, maybe a gank against the Underlord is pretty feasible, especially given that the Crystal Maiden is hanging out up there at the moment as well. And they do have some nice heroes to utilize the Crystal Maiden aura on all 3 lanes for extra farm. Clinks can harass a little bit more with Searing Arrows. They can spam more Alacrities for Weehaw to get farm against the Dragon Knight and negate the Breathe Fire minus damage. And Moon can also just throw out a couple more Illusory Orbs here and there to be able to pick up a little bit of extra farm against this really difficult aggressive tri-lane.
What's Misery's plan going to be for that first nighttime? Because Night Stalkers, now with that daytime nerf, they need to get so active as soon as that sun goes down.
Yeah, he really does. It looks like at the moment, just focusing on getting some levels. It's really going to depend on the position of the game. If Newbee maintain their lanes here, then I feel like that gank against the Underlord is still a pretty solid option, but Newbee may also end up swapping their lanes at some point, just if they want to try and keep more pressure on this Clinks, so we'll have to see. Mugi's taking some pretty big right-click damage from Misery here.
Yeah, he's been playing up really aggressive for a Juggernaut, even just at level 1 or 2, but still keeping himself alive, definitely gauging what Planet Odd have and playing around that pretty well.
Yeah, so the one big thing that he's probably looking at here is that he knows that the Night Stalker came to the lane with relatively little regen, and kind of the same situation for the Puck, so knowing that he has a salve, Tangos, and Sunstrike coming in top.
There's the Sunstrike. KP going to be walking right on through it. Searing Arrows not doing enough, just a couple hits short, and there's going to be a TP back home. So Planet Odd making a lot of space for themselves in the top lane, but they haven't been able to secure that first blood yet.
Oh, that would have been a 100% kill there, but it looks like we might just fall here on the mid lane now.
Kaka.
He's got boots, however, so all right, he's going to be okay.
Sand King, he's got to go for the Burrow Strike of the Century here, but we makes it uphill in time.
But yeah, the Dragon Knight doing really well on this mid lane, 19-9 his CS against the 10-2 of the Invoker, so we certainly feeling a little bit pressure. Does have a nice ward over on the other side of the river to try and scout some of these support rotations, and Radiant Scan used right on top of their tier 1 tower. I don't know if that was a little bit of a misclick,
or
maybe they were hoping
off
to
the
find
map right there, and just trying to make sure the Sand King's not waiting for a Burrow Strike.
Yeah, I think they just could have put it a little bit further to the right if they wanted to check whether there were supports in that tree line.
Oh, Misery going to try to make his way back under tower, but will get glimpsed back now, gets locked in, and this is what we were talking about. If Newbee actually go and find their prey, it's so hard for them to run away. They can just keep throwing stuns at you, and that will be a first blood going the way of Newbee, and our crowd may be a little bit biased here. They are starting to get real excited for Newbee.
Yeah, this is already looking pretty bad for Planet Odd. I mean, they do still have that nighttime coming up soon, but the Night Stalker is only level 2 right now. So not going to be the most effective rotations from him. Crystal Maiden just kind of doing the standard aura build, so her contribution is really just giving the heroes the means to kind of, in theory, win their lanes. And I mean, Planet Odd are getting pretty good farm across the board, so it's not all doom and gloom, but this Newbee lineup is just so fast once it gets rolling. They can take all of the outer towers on the map in like less than 25 minutes this game, if their lineup works the way that they want it to.
Now we hasted up, and they do have Saksa waiting here in the mid lane, so SCCC could be in trouble as, yeah, that's the first nighttime rotation we needed. The meatball comes through, he's clipped, and it looks like SCCC is just counting his last moments. A couple more right clicks go through, and he will fall to Weehaw. Now return in, Faith comes forward, maybe trying to defend that mid, but instead just gets himself down to with third health, and well, nice follow-up there from Planet Odd. Kill score evened out at 1-1, and that's some desperately needed space for Weehaw now.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a very important kill for him, given that his farm is still only looking kind of all right. It's not so much about how the laning stage phase plays out, but it's about maintaining control over their towers, so that he still has the jungle to farm.
He's a tanky boy. He should be okay, and they just don't want to invest all their resources to follow up. Misery still wants to make the most out of that nighttime, but they can't get too crazy. Where they want to start showing their stride is, that 15 to 20 minute mark.
Yeah, I mean, they're still kind of looking to be aggressive at every single nighttime opportunity that they have, just to stop Newbee from grouping up. I think that's really the big thing for Odd here. I really don't know if they win 5-on-5 team fights before the point where the Invoker is just completely maxed and can kind of do everything by himself. So that's really what Odd are playing for here, especially with the fact that they last picked the Invoker. They're showing some confidence in Weehaw's ability to take over this game if they give him the right start, and that's what the rest of the lineup is really looking to do right now. I think even the Klink's pick plays into that a lot, with being able to split push, go and find pickoffs, and stop the Newbee 5-man in theory.
How's Klink's going to be itemizing here? Is he just going to go for the early Atos into Bloodthorn, or is it going to be or rather Orchid into Bloodthorn?
No, KP in a little bit of trouble down here. Might get Sunstruck, going to try and dodge it, but
oh, Firestorm to try to make himself some space, but Resolution still gets the kill, so nice pump up for that Klinks. And now Faith getting low, but not going to be able to go for the follow-up. Saksa continues the chase. Frostbite up in 1 second, but can he get vision? Can he get range? He will be able to go and find the kill on the Disruptor. Nice play there from the Maiden, getting the most out of that low early mana pool.
Man, that rotation really hurt Newbee. They lose their lose the support, but they were also really hoping to push up that hill and be able to go and get a ward down to maybe set up for a tier 1 tower push in that safe lane a little bit later on. But with that, the ward's not down. They're lacking a little bit of vision on the map, other than one ward that they have over at mid lane, which is just barely out of range of this sentry, in fact. So a little bit of bad luck for Odd in placing that one, but I think this early game is starting to look all right for Odd. Misery actually getting a lot done out of this first nighttime. And that gank on the Dragon Knight mid was so nicely set up by Sox. It looks like it was really well. They thought about it ahead of time for Odd. They were probably saying, okay, as soon as this nighttime hits, Crystal Maiden's going to be waiting up on this hill, and she'll be ready to rotate down. And the 3 heroes was more than enough to grab that kill. As Newbee, they've got the level 6 on the Dragon Knight, so it looks like they're keen for a bit of a pick and push here.
Yeah, he's still going to be top of the CS chart as well. So Dragon Knight doing well, but he's got to start using that lead to get something done in bottom lane. Looks like Resolution's about to be ganked. 1 dust was used already in the mid lane, so we'll have to see if the cooldowns on that, or yeah, it's going to be ready right now.
Yeah, and he's just hiding over in the trees right now. Faith still has a little bit of this smoke left. Might be able to detect him, but doesn't walk far enough north, so won't be able to figure out that Resolution is just hiding in the trees. And it looks like Newbee still keen to try and get some damage on this tower, so SCCC going to pop the ultimate. And the Odd support smoked over at mid lane, anticipating that somebody's probably going to TP in to try and defend this against the Invoker, but looks like Newbee not interested in doing so right now. KP actually just continuing to push at the bottom lane, not going to go and spam the Firestorm mid.
Faith makes his way forward. There's the Frostbite to go in, and yeah, this Disruptor is so squishy. Resolution drops 2 arrows, and that's going to be done. Now Kaka is right there in the vicinity. SCCC pops the Dragon form, and Resolution's in trouble, is dusted up, takes a Dragon Tail to the face, and they're holding that Burrow Strike for a little more lockdown. They don't get the Crystal Maiden with the Burrow Strike, and now Resolution's going to go TP out. He knows they use their stuns, and he's going to be able to get home free. Very well done there. Sox is going to be running for the hills here. That Crystal Maiden's fresh out of mana, has a TP though, just needs to find a safe place to go, so she's bailing out into the trees as fast as possible. It's looking difficult that she actually makes it all the way home.
Yeah, looking like Sox is pretty dead here. Little pickup for Newbee.
Omni Slash, okay.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised to see the Omni Slash used like that, but I guess Mugi just kind of itching to use it and continue on farming. Really nice for Planet Odd that they managed to find a tower trade against this newbie lineup, because I think that's the one thing. The panel talked about the split push potential from Planet Odd a little bit, but I feel like this Underlord, if played correctly, can really shut down a lot of those split pushing options, because he has the opportunity to, while they're pushing a tower, immediately TP the entire lineup in on a tier 1 that's being, or at any tower that's being pressured, or he can go and kind of defend by himself and then be ready to Dark Rift into his team if they need his help. So it'll depend a lot on how comfortable KP's feeling on this Underlord. It's not a hero that people have been playing a ton recently. So.
Oh, Resolution. This is a nice kill for him. Just going to be a couple of arrows, and yeah, it's just waiting for the old 1-2. Couple more, and that's going to be Saksa fed a nice kill there, so making sure the CM can get up some nice support items.
Yeah, this is definitely a really nice game for the Crystal Maiden to get a Glimmer Cape going or a Force Staff. So. I don't know if that was 100% intentional from Resolution to give the kill over to the support, but I think it actually ends up working out pretty nicely on the whole. You asked about Klinx's itemization this game. I feel like he's probably going to go for fairly standard stuff. He has picked up the Soul Ring. I think it's still, I don't know how important the Soul Ring is 100% when you've got the Crystal Maiden Arcane Aura as well, but certainly not a bad item. And I think maybe heading into a Deso, something along those lines after that. He does grab the Ring of Aquila here just for a little bit more lane pressure, and they don't have any other hero to buy it, so pretty value for him to grab it.
I mean, how lethal is this Klinx if you just sit back and let him farm? Because it seems like Newbee really aren't making him their top priority right now.
Klinx isn't really a hero that actually flash farms that quickly, and the change to his Death Pact was actually kind of a nerf to his overall farming. Sunstrike.
Sunstrike comes in. Kaka going to dodge the Sunstrike, and now his team's there for backup as Moon tries to go in for the TP, but the Glimpse back will hold him in place, and now Puck, potentially in some trouble. Resolution, meanwhile, does pop Kaka bot lane, but here at this top shrine, the fight is just getting started. Night Stalker moves in. It's daytime, though, so he can't quite give it his all. One pile Dragon Breath will take out the Puck, and now Resolution running for his life makes it past the shrine, and now there's the Frostbite. Omni Slash to bounce around. Crystal Maiden eating up a lot of it. Saksa gets low, will eventually fall to one more hit from the Dragon Knight. The Meatball comes through, and SCCC is going to trade his life for this. The negative Urn rockin', and Misery keeps hot on his heels, but Kaka looking to set up a Burrow Strike. Will catch the Night Stalker, and SCCC, he's home free. The Urn won't do enough damage to take him out. Misery has to contend with this Firestorm in the Pit of Malice, so Night Stalker held in place. The Dragon Knight lived. Sunstrike, just right on the edge there. Very, very close.
Oh man, that was sick from Wee, and that's going to be, I mean, that's a lot of acceleration from that last fight. He's already got the Midas. He's got 2k gold towards his Aghanim Scepter, and that was just not what Newbee were looking for there. The Shrine happened to come up, it looks like, in the middle of that fight, so they were able to pop out. Resolution able to get the turnaround, had the Death Pact running the entire time, and this is not the way that Newbee were hoping the early game was going to go. They've only taken one tower so far. They don't even have the mech just yet on the Underlord, so their 5-man isn't necessarily online, and the two supports kind of struggling right now. Newbee, Faith, and Kaka have been running around trying to make plays happen, but they've, for the most part, been unsuccessful, and Disruptor is just such a bad hero to play from behind. This is a game where he's just going to get munched by the Klinx nonstop if they can't 5-man.
He has to play in the buddy system right now, and we're talking about how Newbee's team fight is phenomenal, but right now Planet Odd's positioning is so good, and now we just tick over to nighttime, and Misery, he's hungry. He's going to need a hunt. And let's see what he finds.
Yeah, he's got his Urn up, so a little bit of extra damage there. Hasn't skilled the ultimate just yet. Does have the point up in the Crippling Fear, pretty handy against the Sand King and the Jug and whatnot, so not too surprised to see that. And yeah, I mean, Planet Odd controlling the map very nicely. Like I said, the way that they win this game is going aggressive and being active early, and then stopping Newbee from ever really grouping up and 5-manning.
Yeah, really nice deep boards from the Radiant as well, scouting out movements around the Ancient Pits. And well, here top tower, the action's going to be going down. Klinx showing no mercy, just laying in the arrows, and now Moon will get some scouting vision. Sees KP there. Do they know Faith is in the trees?
I don't think so. KP does also have the Dark Rift up, so even though his TP is on cooldown, he does have a potential escape here. Mugi split pushing bottom a little bit as Moon is going to come TPing in, so that should be a sign for Newbee to group up top and try and take this opportunity since they know that they can force a 4v5. And yeah, you look at SCCC and Kaka, they're running forward.
There's the smoke. They know someone's going to be down on the low ground, just a matter of who they can catch. The Invoker makes his way out. There's going to be a deep ward play so they can scout any rotations up past that tier 2 tower, but for now, it's just going to be Newbee taking their opportunity to go and push structures.
Yeah, that was a nice nice little play from Newbee, pressuring the one lane where they already had a tier 1 down and kind of taking advantage of the fact that they have a tier 1 taken on a side lane, whereas Planet Odd have a tier 1 taken on the mid lane, where it's actually much easier for Newbee to respond. And, you know, if you have a hero TP over to defend mid, they're only one lane away from going back to one of the side lanes and continuing the push. But the fact that they, you know, they kind of split pressure works out pretty nicely.
Courier attempt from Klinks, but going to be just a little bit too slow. Now, they're just going to segue this right into a tier 2 tower push, and it seems like Planet Odd have to defend this. Moon still taking his time down there in the bot lane. Sunstrike comes in, just going to be starting to chunk KP down, but I mean, that Underlord's still relatively tanky. Moogie just spinning away, continuing to slap at the tower. Pit and Malice goes, they lock down the Night Stalker. He's in trouble now. His teammates are not going to be able to help him. The meatball comes in. Moogie is going to be getting low. Glimpse back onto Weehaw, but there's no follow-up there. So they get what they want. They pick off the Night Stalker, and they know that that makes Planet Odd's initiation so much more difficult. That's going to be not only a tier 1, not only a Night Stalker pick, but a tier 2 as well.
Yeah, I don't even know if Planet Odd got outmaneuvered a little bit there, but I don't know if they're that unhappy with how that played out. Weehaw got some decent farm. He's about 800 gold away from his Aghanim Scepter, which is a potential first timing for him to exploit. Resolution got some really nice damage on the tier 2. He'll be able to pick that up a little bit later on. And Planet Odd, you know, not too far behind. In fact, holding on to a net worth and experience lead right now. Though I feel like the Newbee 5-manning is only just beginning. They've now picked up the mech on the Underlord, so their team fight, scary as it was to begin with, just got even more potent.
Yeah, the net worth is, you know, getting close to that even mark. It was kind of creeping up towards that 2,000 mark for Odd, but now it's, you know, dropping right back down after that pick in the tier 2 tower and the Night Stalker. So, quick pause. Hopefully, just working out some lag issues or something, but getting right back into it. So, I mean, how content are Newbee right now? They had a bit of a fumble in the laning stage, but you know, now that the first early night times are done, are they just going to be coming back and 5-manning and running at Odd and trying to catch him with the pants down?
Yeah, I mean, that's the plan. The next sort of 10-15 minutes of the game are going to decide a lot, and they're mostly going to be decided by, I would say, ward vision, smokes, and overall map positioning. That's really going to create the opportunities, because I still don't know if Odd are all that keen on taking a 5-on-5. They do have the blink up on Moon now, so they have some kind of an opportunity to be able to take a team fight, but I think initiating for them is going to be pretty difficult. Maybe they can get the Klinks in, he can scout, and then the puck can jump into the backlines and they can blow up the 2 supports, which is maybe the point where Newbee's team fight crumbles a little bit without those 2 big AoE ultimates. But other than that, I feel like the puck is mostly going to be counter-initiating, and that's where the problem of Odd's lineup, where they don't necessarily have an amazing frontliner. Like Night Stalker can kind of frontline, and Klinks, if he's far enough ahead, maybe he's survivable enough to eat a couple of spells and then have the puck come in and turn things around. But I think that lack of a real frontliner from their off lane is going to hurt the angles of initiation on these team fights. So I think they still mostly have to just play for vision, play for pickoffs, and play to try and keep Newbee split up.
Yeah, so we are back into the game now. Hopefully, just going to keep rolling smoothly here. How often do Newbee want to fight? Are they ultimate cooldown reliant, or do they just want to charge in even without an epicenter, without a dragon form?
I think it's mostly around the dragon form. They do have, some ultimates that they have to wait for here and there, but they're not the most, they're not the longest cooldowns in the game necessarily as far as ultimates go. So I think you'll see Newbee making a lot of plays together, but as you can see, Odd are starting to split push effectively. Weehaw going to be able to take out this tier 1 tower up at top, gets the last hit, only 150 gold away from his Aghanim Scepter now. And I feel like we're still yet to really see the power of this Underlord in terms of his ability to use the Dark Rift and move his team around on the map to create better laning pressure situations. So we'll see if that ends up working out for them as they move forward.
Newbee rotating in. I mean, really setting themselves up in this mid lane. You can see they've got good ward vision there. They're bringing in the Jug healing ward in case there was a jump. And meanwhile, Misery is going to be split pushing top. Still nighttime. He's still in his element. And do you think Planet Odd are going to commit to this top tower, or is there just no way they can actually take it in time? Oh, there's the Dark Rift.
They don't see any heroes on the map right now, so they're a little bit afraid of rotations in from Newbee or a smoke pincering them from the mid lane. So they are just going to back it up. Though Siege Creep with the Alacrity gets a decent amount of damage onto the tier 2, in fact. So, still a nice little bit of chip without any commitment really whatsoever from Wee, and he's just going to keep on going for the kind of split push build, going for Boots of Travel. Now, sometimes you'll see Invokers, if they feel like they're ahead and they feel like their team can win team fights, they'll go straight for a Blink Dagger in this situation and then just jump in and sort of win fights. But the Boots of Travel, great farming item, great for applying split pressure on these side lanes, and I feel like this tier 1 tower bottom for Newbee is probably not long for this world. The other thing that Odd might be able to do that might catch Newbee off guard is actually maybe steal a Roshan once they have the Desolator up on the Clinks. I don't believe they're building towards a medallion anywhere on the lineup, so it won't be the easiest thing in the world to take, and it looks like, well, Newbee not even going to give them that opportunity as they're just going to head straight into the pit themselves. This Firestorm is insane against Roshan.
It's percentage.
After the buff.
Yeah, it's still percentage based on Rosh,
It's
right?
like the only percentage-based ability that still works on Roshan for whatever reason.
Sunstrike comes in, not going to hit anyone, but I mean, Planeton definitely know what's up. They can't respond though, they just can't get in there quick enough because Firestorm, like you mentioned, just evaporates Rosh. That is a phenomenally quick Rosh for this lineup.
Yeah, and now the TP down bottom, successfully defending.
Oh, it sure has.
Yeah, Roshan down. And that's a pretty big deal for Newbee. That's going to signal the next 5 minutes of aggression for them. And that Aegis is even going to extend a little bit into this next nighttime, which might give them an opportunity to negate some of the nighttime strength of Planet Odd. Their lineup is starting to get really beefy. That's the other big problem. You don't really want to go on the Underlord. He's extremely difficult to burst. The Dragon Knight is kind of the same story. And the Jug now with the Aegis, also not an amazing target. So I worry for Planet Odd a little bit. And when these fights drag out, their sustained damage isn't that amazing. Once the Strafe runs out for the Clinks, once the Invoker drops his first volley of spells, once the Puck does the same, I feel like they don't continue the team fight quite as well as Newbee do.
Yeah, I mean, Underlord, he had a really fast mech timing. He's now got mech, arcanes, and the staff for his 4 staff, so he is exceptionally farmed.
Yeah, I like the 4 staff pickup here. I think it helps keep him safe if he's going to be solo defending lanes. And Moon.
Here we go. Moon tried to get aggressive on Mugi, but look at that lockdown. Puck is trying to go phase shift himself out of trouble, but it's going to be pretty difficult for him. Tries to jaunt to the orb, but it's not going to be quick enough. He goes down, and meanwhile, Underlord was taken out by Resolution down there in the bot lane, and there's a TP in from the Dragon Knight. Resolution is just going to scoot himself out. I mean, it feels like Clinks is definitely still playing a solo game. Is that going to change for Planet Odd, or do they need him, on one half of the map, the rest of the team on the other?
I think I just need to reiterate the point about this game is all about the Invoker for Odd. It's all about getting the Invoker to the point where he completely takes over the game. So until Weehaw makes the call and says, guys, I'm insanely strong, I have my Octarine Core, I have my Lincoln Sphere, I have my Blink Dagger, I don't really think that Odd are interested in actually taking a 5-on-5 fight until that point. So yeah, the Clinks will join them once that happens, but right now we're just kind of watching Weehaw push out lanes, and every item that he grabs increases his split push potential just that little bit more. So his farm is going to continue to accelerate as the game goes on.
Deep rotation here from Newbee. Resolution going to be the one to push up onto the cliff and show himself, and looks like they might want to initiate on that puck, going to send an orb forward, and Faith clipped by it. Seems like Planet Odd, they're just going to let Newbee try and set up their positioning and then respond to it once they're kind of there already.
And nighttime's coming up soon, but again, goal is really to split them up, so we're just going to keep on pressuring at top. Resolution is coming in from behind here at mid lane, however, but is he actually going to try and make something happen? It's all about whether or not Moon can get the initiation. I think they really need a smoke for him to do anything.
Now, Fortify is spent here, so if Planet Odd have a really botched initiation and drop a couple of big kills, this potentially could be tier 3s.
Yeah, they're not quite in the position that I was expecting them to be. Resolution was kind of moving over towards top. I don't know if he was hoping to set up a kill with Weehaw, anticipating that the defense from Newbee might come a little bit earlier, but he really needed to be bottom. Looks like he is going to be able to come and backdoor this tier 1 tower, but he's just waiting to see a few more heroes on the map. It's only the Jug showing right now, so he's a little bit afraid that there might be, a Sand King lurking nearby, but he will poke his nose out here and finish it off.
Yep, nice little chunk of gold, and I mean, Planet Odd, they are still holding on to the kill lead, but and the net worth lead rather, but it seems like Newbee are just so much more in control of the map, the positioning, and the pace of this game.
Yeah, Newbee certainly have the better wards right now. I think Planet Odd really wish that they had some more observer wards kind of on the shrine over in the Dire Jungle and also over towards that top tier 2, just so that their heroes would feel a little bit more safe to utilize these 3 camps over on the sort of western side of the Dire jungle, but without any vision over the shrines and any potential rotations from that push that happened mid lane, they're going to have to abandon that farm and just sort of keeping pace with the newbie cores right now, as opposed to pushing further and further ahead. And it looks like Weehaw actually feeling very pressured this game, maybe thinking that they're running out of time. He's actually just going to be queuing up a BKB on his quick buy here, so I guess Odd feeling as though they're in a little bit of trouble. And I think that is somewhat accurate. You know, once the Invoker hits his peak, they're going to have to do a lot, but past that, I think the newbie lineup actually scales a little bit better, and they haven't been pressured into buying BKBs at all yet. So
here we go. Smoke attempt is completely thwarted by Misery's positioning, and they're going to dust to make sure it wasn't a Clinks right there. Misery going to go for the TP out, and they won't be able to catch him. Meanwhile, it's not looking like the Crystal Maiden will have the same lucky fortune there. So Crystal Maiden hits the deck, but very good job by Planet Odd positioning themselves in a way that totally thwarts that rotation from Newbee.
Planet Odd really okay. So they've at least gotten the ward over at the Dire Shrine. So that's a little bit more information for Wii, but they really want to plant these deep wards so that they can keep scouting their rotations from Newbee. They are at the very least kind of wasting a lot of this Aegis duration, so that's good news for them. But again, it's unfortunate that that's the way that they're having to play during the nighttime and up Clinks.
They're able to go get him. They get the dust on him as well. The glimpse back holds him up onto the cliff, and there's going to be the Dragon Tail to keep him pinned down. Oh man, this is just middle school bully tier where they just keep him smashed up against a locker and he can't run. The glimpse back, the Burrow Strike, the Dragon Tail, he's just stunned forever.
Yeah, really nice from Newbee putting the Observer Ward and the Sentry Ward together, and now with Resolution dead for 40 seconds and a little bit of the Aegis duration left, it looks like they are going to try and go for the high ground. Wii making the same play over the top side along with Moon. They know that they can't fight without the Clink, so they're going to have to try and force them back, but this is the strength of the Underlord in this situation. He can defend and still be ready to Dark Rift mid.
Yep, he's got an ability to hop quickly, so Tier 3 tower is taken out with pretty little resistance from Odd. Now, puck goes in, lands on a Dream Coil, but immediately picked up by a beautiful Static Storm from Faith, whose positioning is perfect down there on the low ground. So now Rax exposed. SCCC on the run as the Forward Spirit starts shipping at him. There is going to be, the initiation for the Sand King gets the 3-man Burrow Strike. Everyone getting chewed down by the epicenter. It's Misery trying to run, but held in place. Oh no, it's not looking good for Planet Odd right now. They lost 2 big heroes, forced some buybacks. Now there's going to be another Burrow Strike, trying to hold the puck back, but Moon's still alive. Wee running for his life. The Night Stalker comes back in, and they are able to take down the Dragonite, who does not have buyback. Sunstrike comes forward, won't hit on anyone, but it looks like Planet Odd know they have to push now. They've got to go get whatever they can out of Newbee. There is going to be a nice little Pit of Malice holding everyone in place there, and, well, a couple of arrows does take out the Disruptor. So it will eventually be a relatively even trade, but, man, Newbee just got what they wanted out of that.
They got the Tier 3, they can take the Shrines, and they forced 3 buybacks. That was absolutely amazing for Newbee. Like I said, it's wards that are going to win this game, that we're going to win the battle of breaking up the back and forth on the lanes in terms of, Newbee trying to get the catch and Planet Odd constantly going for the split push. And as soon as they get rid of the big split pusher, Newbee blow the game wide open. And even though they didn't get the lane of Rax, I think they're still insanely happy with how that played out. And yeah, Planet Odd still sort of at this point not able to control the map the way that they want, and they're just going to have to hope that this double BKB timing from Weehaw and Resolution is enough for them to start winning the fights and win the game, because it looks like this pick-off plan is not going to work against Newbee. And if Newbee wanted to, they could even pick up a gem soon and completely restrict the map control. And in fact, they do already have that gem over on Kaka, so Planet Odd's wards are not going to be able to get very deep onto the map, and as a result, they're not going to really be able to split push because they won't know where the Newbee heroes are.
Planet Odd, they got to get active here. They are going to scan and see that the Dragon Knight was taking Ancients, so SCCC in some trouble. We'll get silenced up and held in place by the Dream Coil, but can they keep him locked down? Looks like Misery's on it. They got the Frostbite going as well, so that's going to be a nice pick on the Dragon Knight, and that's now 2 deaths right in a row for him, as he did die right after taking that Tier 3.
All right, Odd get aggressive. I don't know if that was necessarily... That was probably a little bit unexpected for Newbee, given the way that Odd have been playing the last couple of minutes, but looks like they really want this Tier 2 tower. That's going to bring Weehaw pretty close to his BKB, and it looks like Resolution might have his completed as well. All right, so this is a strong timing for Odd. We'll see if this is going to be enough for them to win a team fight. If it's not, if two 10-second BKBs is not enough, then I really worry for them. Ooh.
Oh, Tornado almost catches that Sand King. They are going to Sunstrike him, but he'll be back in base nice and safe. So big rotation from Odd. They totally bail out of the top lane, and now they're just going to try to push it in top. Only 1 Tier 2 on the Dire side of the map. They just got to go and take out that mid lane.
Yeah, I feel like the game plan is so much more straightforward for Newbee at this stage than it is for Odd. They can go and claim the shrines, they can probably claim the Roche pretty easily, and then at that point I think the next Aegis and a Cheese sort of cements this game. Mugi in some trouble.
Yeah, pops the immediate Manta, now trying to Blade Fury his way to
Sunstrike.
freedom. The Sunstrike coming in, it will finish him off. Nice play there from Wii, and they're going to continue to follow up. Kaka going to go break that Dream Coil, and now Pit Lord trying to go and lead the front line of this fight, gets silenced up. And now there's going to be a defensive static Storm, just trying to zone out Resolution, I guess, but this tower is still extremely vulnerable. One more hit will take it out. So now no more tier 2s, keeping Newbee's tier 3s safe.
Yeah, well, these I didn't think Odd were going to be able to get pickoffs, but they've proved me wrong time and time again. It looks like they're actually going to be the ones who are able to go over and try and secure this Roshan. No buyback available for the Jug. Resolution is a little bit late to the party, but I think they still have more than enough damage to bring this down.
Yeah, it's no Firestorm, but they'll still be able to get themselves in. Now, that's going to be a Dark Rift, getting them in, so KP leading up the front lines, but it's not in time. They go, they snap themselves up an Aegis for Wii. And who's holding on to Cheese here?
Probably the Invoker, yeah. Weeha does have it in his backpack right now. Actually ends up passing it over to the Clinks, and yeah, it's Weeha with the Aegis, so. Alright. What else? Does Wii have his BKB now? He does. He's got another 1,500 gold. Faith looks like I might get picked off here. Uphill miss. Oh, that's a BKB forced from Resolution. That's a pretty expensive BKB charge.
Yeah, it is. Wasn't even able to find the Disruptors. So Faith just going to go reset himself, stick with his teammates. I mean, the Disruptors' positioning here has been really good, especially when they were going and pushing that tier 3 mid when Newbee was able to actually take out and expose the racks. Disruptors' positioning is really what allowed them to take that fight with that amazing Static Storm to set up for the Burrow Strike Epi.
Yeah, and then a Dream Coil used as well for Planet Odd. Just kind of, they're poking and prodding. Those last two attempts that they made on the Newbee side of the map were so successful, it feels like they're just trying to replicate that success, but maybe not with the same level of patience. The nice thing for Newbee is that they now have the BKB on the Dragon Knight, so he can actually kind of go and split push a little bit more securely. Of course, it sucks to pop BKB charges, to have to escape from a gank, but you know, if you have to, he does have that opportunity. DK just going to be working on an AC here. Underlord has a pipe picked up, so I think the Newbee timing is still pretty strong, but unfortunately, actually I don't even know if they have to wait out the Aegis on Planet Odd. Again, they have this problem that they don't really have much of a front line, and so I feel like once Newbee get in there, if they can successfully kill the Invoker once, then I feel like they're kind of A-okay. Should be able to bring him down again with the amount of lockdown that they have, though. A lot of this comes down to the Newbee supports. They're squishy, they have a lot of impact in the team fights, but if they get brought down, then I think it could also be Newbee that crumble in the opposite direction, so we'll have to see.
Yep, so, I mean, Planet Odd, they're positioning themselves really far forward. They're not just going to sit back and let Newbee walk over them. They're going to keep fighting, and now Invoker pushed up all the way to the tier 3, forcing back that TP from Pit Lord. And everyone's coming in now. Kaka going to be moving forward, makes his way back up onto the high ground. Tornado clips the Pit Lord, but two heroes trapped in the Static Storm. SECC's Dragon formed up BKB, but Resolution is going to town, kills off the Disruptor. 4 heroes caught in that Dream Coil, and now KP, fresh out of mana, just going to be trying to keep his teammates alive. Resolution now trapped into that Pit of Malice. Mugi goes forward, and oh, there's the Epi! The Burrow Strike brings him right where he wants to be. They pop the Aegis. Now Saksa just tries to go dance for her life, but will be killed off, and Clinks respawns and should be able to get Shane stunned down and picked off as well. So nice try from Planet Odd, but 3 heroes going down, trading only for the Disruptor.
Oh my god, and now they're just going to Dark Rift towards mid. There's already a creep wave there. It's being pushed in. There's no buyback available for the Invoker, and as much as it was looking good for Planet Odd, it immediately swings for Newbee. Their lineup is so tanky. The Healing Ward doing so much work in that fight, along with the mech and the pipe, and it looks like this should be a lane of racks.
Yeah, again, that was the buyback for the Clinks too, so if they can actually get him in an unfavorable position and kill him off, so much of Planet Odd's damage is off the table, because there's still 40 seconds before Wii's back up. These racks are totally toast, and we'll see what else Newbee's going to push for next.
Yeah, I don't know if they can get too much more. They probably want that shrine over on the side there, you know, over by the secret shop for the Radiant, but other than that, really nice fight. They're getting more control as well among their cores. And, I mean, you just look at this fight. We had a missed burrow strike to start from Kaka. Really nice play from Wii. He gets the meatball down. It does plenty of damage, or it looks like it's going to do tons of damage. And then the mech comes in, and then the pipe comes in. The healing ward is staying up on the high ground this entire time, and they just can't finish anybody off. SCCC standing in the middle. Kaka comes in with the huge epicenter locking in Weehaw, and it just goes to show again that the Aegis on the Invoker, without the sustain from Odd and without the AoE control that they would normally get from their, their offlane hero, not really having that in this game for the Puck, and Newbee just sort of out-sustain them in the fight. That's what they've got. They've got 3 big, beefy idiots as their lineup, so they're really hard to kill.
Yeah, Planet Odd, I mean, how do they recover from that? It just seems so lethal. They had to burn buybacks. They put themselves in a pretty vulnerable position, and Newbee, they called their bluff.
Yeah, they got to. At this point, I think Planet Odd actually have to play pretty crazy. They have to, maybe they have to buy a gem if they can afford it. They have to try and go for every pickoff that's presented to them because they just can't afford to wait around. Newbee, if they get another 5-man push going, that's probably going to be another lane of racks, and I think at that point, the game is very, very secure for them. So, all right, what's Newbee going to be up to here? Are they going to just be going for another 5-man smoke? It's actually coming off cooldown in the Disruptor's backpack, so looks like that's going to be the play.
Right away.
Yeah.
Now, that ward, I don't believe caught it, that Radiant ward right there. So, Radiant, they're just going to be, anticipating something going on. Hopefully, he's not the one to eat it here. He can't afford 2 deaths immediately in a row, sitting there in the tree line. Not going to be breaking any smokes, instead popping the tornado onto the creep wave. But there's a deep dive here. They want to go in onto Resolution. He's trapped, caught out in the jungle. Oh, that's a dieback for him, dead for 80 seconds, and there's nothing he can do about it. Newbee going to push their advantage, go down to the bot lane, and take out that one remaining tier 2.
This Underlord pick is so good for Newbee this game. I feel like they looked at what Planet Odd were doing with the Nature's Prophet and how that worked into their overall playstyle, and they looked at the Underlord and said, this is absolutely perfect. We can spam out lanes. We have a hero that without boots of travel can kind of be in 2 places at once to be able to both defend and be ready to join the team for the team fight. And it's worked out so nicely for Newbee here.
Tornado totally off the mark. Now Wee's going to pop an early BKB. They've got to make something happen with this BKB duration, or else he just can't fight. Now, SCCC caught with the Deafening Blast, caught with the meatball, forced a little bit out of position. Just going to regroup and go back with his team. Soxa moves forward, is able to go and grab that Frostbite onto Moogie, but Moogie just going to Manta it off. The tower is completely done. And now let's see what they're able to do with the racks. Planet Odd, they just got to sit by and watch. They don't have the fighting power just yet. Crystal Maiden caught it on her own and killed. And there's going to be another beautiful burrow strike into the Static Zone with an Omni Slash bouncing around. Oh, it's not looking good. Newbee able to go and kill off 3 heroes. The Clink still in the grave from the last death. And it looks like we could be getting close to a GG for game number 1. Again, this is the grand finals and potentially Planet Odd's TI invite on the line.
Yeah, I think the other thing for Newbee is that this is a strategy that they haven't necessarily shown us just yet. It's very similar to a lot of their other overall strats with the...
Oh, it's all down to Wii here. He's going to be going in. They will be able to kill off that Disruptor. He's going out for 50 seconds, but look at that reinitiation from the Sand King. Newbee, they have just completely read Planet Odd like a book. And there's the GG coming in for game number 1.
Let's all go back to the fountain, guys.
In favor